Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the I'm Telling God About This podcast. The internet gives such good gifts, like the Lord, such good gifts. Yeah, what was it, yesterday or the day before? I'm sitting in my chair, I'm watching YouTube, and there it is, a prompt, a yes or no game. Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles. Would you be Catholic or Protestant, Ben Shapiro? Yes or no? Naturally, I'm like, go on. I want to know. Click. All right. So I watched this and it just, man, it delivered. So go ahead, play the clip, Josh. And so we'll set this up and you'll see what's going on.
A Jew becomes a Baptist. Hang on for the ride.
All right, here we go.
So right, and that's an interesting way to read the question, which is banning TikTok would save more lives than banning fentanyl. You say, well, if it saves one additional life,
right? Exactly.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, here it is.
With the hire of Isabel Brown, it seems that you may be Christian curious. If so, would you lean Catholic over Protestant? Oh, very, very good question.
Spicy.
It's
very spicy.
For context, Michael Knowles is a Catholic.
I actually know the answer. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I do know.
I would be shocked.
What a Catholic response.
No, there are some people. Well, I'm not going to give away mine.
Don't
just
lead the
let you
witness,
answer
Michael.
first. It's an obvious answer.
I know you think it's an obvious answer.
I know you think it's obvious.
Okay.
I understand all of the problems for the obvious, but yes, Catholic.
So
no, give me a break.
I'll tell you.
That is total.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Okay,
Did he give an answer? He gave
in order for
Protestant.
me to become a Christian, the central pitch of Christianity to me would be getting rid of all of the rituals. Right? I mean, that's like the central pitch. Right?
You're saying you'd want to mix it up. You got to.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Okay, pause.
I do more ritual than you, right? I'm like as Jewish as it's possible to be.
Ben the Baptist.
What's that?
All right, you're going to have to fill it in because it went over my head. I missed it.
Okay.
What?
So he's asking if he was to become a Christian, would he become a Catholic or a Protestant?
Protestant.
Right.
I didn't even hear Ben's answer.
He said that
it's on light.
If he were to
it was
become
on the bottom.
a Christian,
He clicked no.
Oh, he clicked. Okay.
Oh, yeah, he clicked no. And that's why Michael Knowles was like, you got to be kidding
Got
me.
it.
And I think, here's the thing. I think that Michael Knowles was like, look, you're a Jew. You already do the traditions anyway. So
you understand how important ritual
being
is.
a Catholic, you'd be doing the rituals. And Ben's response is like, if I'm going to become a Christian, we need to get rid of all the rituals. I'd be curious to see what he expands on.
Okay, hold on.
The rest of it.
This is important because if you watched our last episode on not our last episode, the one before that on Pedo Baptist, baby baptism,
Part 2
right?
coming soon.
Part two will be dropping soon. This was a central theme, right? That one of the things about being a Baptist, as opposed to any of the high church denominations, Anglican, Presbyterian, these other ones, is that Jesus is the fulfillment. We view the sacraments, what normally are called sacraments, so like communion, baptism, we view those as ordinances, which we do them because we're commanded to, not because they serve any function in our salvation, right? They're not a covenantal requirement like these things were before. So here's a Jew who keeps the Davidic covenant, right, in his mind, or as close as they can to it, because Messiah, they don't recognize the coming of Messiah. But he recognizes, and which is why he says the central pitch to me, a Jew, is that if Christianity is the deal, then that means an end
all of this goes away.
To all of this stuff, all of this ritual, which all the Baptists are sitting here in the back row going, yay!
To which the resident Catholic in the room was like, wait, what?
Come on.
Like, that's how you interpret the scriptures? That Jesus is the fulfillment to the law? Because our law is that we got the sacraments. No, we switch out the Yom Kippur with our 7 sacraments. Like, no, that's not. It's like he gets it. Why doesn't a Catholic,
right,
that is a strong Catholic, get it?
That's the fundamental point.
That's so funny.
That's it. Let's see what he says in the rest of the clip, because we got to see what else he says.
Because he was basically let me gonna bring it back a couple of seconds, because I do want to hear that again.
There would be no tradition.
No, not tradition, ritual.
All right, let's see what he says.
It's an obvious answer.
I know you think it's an obvious answer.
Is it?
Okay.
I understand all of the problems for the obvious, but yes, Catholic.
Do you though?
So he just checked no.
Give me a break.
I'll
give
tell
me
you.
a break. That is coke. That is coke. That is total coke.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Okay, so in order for me to become a Christian, the central pitch of Christianity to me would be getting rid of all of the rituals, right? I mean, that's like the central pitch, right?
You're saying
Because-
you'd want to mix it up.
Central pitch.
No, not mix it up.
Like, if,
No,
like,
that's not what he's saying.
I do more ritual than you, right? I'm like as Jewish as it's possible to be, almost. And what that means is that if and I've said this before, Catholicism is more similar to Judaism than Protestantism, by far. There's no question, because Catholicism, as I've said to Bishop Barron, backfilled all of the ritual by basically saying faith will save you, not works. But also, it turns out that if you think that is like a practical way of governing, it turns out that you need hierarchy and actual works.
Let's give some credence to James here, who says like
No,
you
pause.
are
He just goes, "This is it. This is the
not
stop."
by faith
He
alone.
just
Right.
What is
Michael Knowles.
Dude,
hold
that
on.
was-
First of all, go ahead.
that
What
was
were
a
you gonna say,
mic
Nate?
drop moment.
You nerds need to explain yourselves because I am so lost. And you're
Okay,
just
I've got
nerding
first,
out
Josh.
over
Hold on.
here.
Go for it.
Okay. His whole thing is so first thing he does is he's like, I got to get rid of, like we just said, right? Like the central pitch is get rid of all of the ceremony, right? And then he points out to Michael Knowles, you guys basically just took all the stuff that is supposed to be fulfilled in Messiah, which is something that he as a practicing Jew understands very deeply. That's why they're looking forward to the coming of Messiah. And you just brought it all back. And
They
then,
co-opted Judaism into Catholicism.
yes,
Correct.
they took all of the things that were
ritual.
that were covenantal functions. So like you need a priesthood if you're going to have a sacrificial system. So it turns out if you're going to say that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ basically functioning
Is
in
the
a
once and for all
in a
sacrifice.
sacrifice,
Representation.
the representation of it each time, that turns out you need to bring back all the hierarchy and the priesthood, and all of this stuff comes back with it. And so like I give credence to the Catholics because at least they're accepting it and saying the quiet part out loud. It's the Protestants I don't understand. It's the Protestants that I don't understand why they continue to do these things when they don't accept the initial premise of, you know, the transubstantiation, the idea that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Christ. So he didn't just curb stomp, you know, Michael Knowles's Catholic dreams in that moment. He also just like took it a step further and pointed out how silly it is from a Jewish perspective. And that to me is what's hilarious. It's not even the fact that it's Ben Shapiro. It's just the fact that a devout Jew could see this on its face and just that's all I needed to see anyway.
Sorry, respond to that, Nick. Do you get that? Do you understand what he's saying there?
So I understand what he's saying, and maybe I'm the bozo in the room who's not understanding the premise of the theological joke of it all. But when he checks no, maybe what was the premise of Michael Knowles' question? Would you rather be a Catholic or a Protestant? That's how I read it. And he's saying I'd rather be a Protestant.
Right.
Right.
So it was no, he wouldn't lean Catholic. He was
He
like, would
wouldn't
you
lean Catholic. If he had to
That's what he
pick
was saying.
Catholic or Protestant, he's picking Protestant. Protestant
Correct.
means Baptist, non-denom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
For the
And
most
he
part,
would,
there's some-
he would lean that way because there aren't any traditions, and that's the appeal.
Correct.
Not
And
the
now,
traditions. Not
Go
that
ahead.
traditions are the problem. It's the premise.
Sacraments.
The sacraments. No, that those traditions, same thing. But what all that stuff, all the ritual, right?
Ritual.
It's not just that he wants to be, because this is why I love that he kept talking. Because at first, Michael Knowles' response is like, oh, you'd want to mix it up. Like,
Right.
you'd want to not have the burden of the ritual, which is true. But he takes
which
it a
is
step
why he
further
said,
and says,
haha, but that wasn't
Right.
really the meaning why.
he took it further because he's saying it's disingenuous. He took it further to say it's not cohesive. It doesn't make sense. You guys have Christianity's central claim is that Messiah has come and has fulfilled the the covenant.
So he took
the
it as
purpose
a
of the law.
moment to dunk on Knowles.
Yes, and
Unintentionally. I don't think he
Unintentionally.
knew.
I don't
He didn't
realize
know that he was
Interesting.
dunking on Michael Knowles. He basically, what he said is like, look, why would I convert to Catholicism when you
I could be
basically
Baptist?
don't do the rituals as good as the Jews do, but you want to do
Got
all
it.
the rituals?
Okay, I think I get it now.
You're basically stealing from the Jews.
And
in
the
our
big
Levitical
takeaway-
system.
And the big takeaway here is based on his self-described feelings of Protestant theology. Ben Shapiro would most certainly be a Baptist.
Oh, for sure. Because you got
No question.
when you have the Lutherans, the Presbyterians, all of these other the Anglicans, all of these high liturgy Protestants, they still hold to the not the sacrificial, but the sacraments in some sense as being a salvific thing, or believing in a need for these things to assist or being part of the salvific journey. Whereas Baptists are like, look, all those are ordinances. We do those because we're God
commanded.
has ordained those things for us to commanded us to do. However, that is not a requirement for a relationship and salvation with Jesus.
Because we have Messiah now. Because Messiah
Yes,
came.
the
and
So
fulfilled
fulfillment.
he
all these
came to fulfill the law, right? So you have heard it said that you can do
If you're
this, but
listening
I
right
tell you
now,
that.
do not hop into my DMs and send me a DM message about any of this. My father and other people that shall not be named comment on the thread of this video. This
Please,
is where I
I'll
will be
jump in there.
communicating about all
We
of these
need your
things.
algorithm.
Listen, and here's the thing. I just want to be clear about this. If this seems like, oh man, when did you guys just become so denominational? No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. Here's the reason. Because we've been talking about a lot of these things recently, like infant baptism and a lot of this other stuff, and it's something that's become very
Circumcision's
apparent.
coming soon.
Yeah,
Be on the
well, yeah,
lookout.
circumcision,
Subscribe
the
if you're here
Eucharist.
for that ride.
We're not giving
Yeah.
out free circumcision here.
No. So that's my point, though, is the reason that this is silliness is because that's kind of the whole point, right? It's not about whether or not Presbyterians love Jesus and are doing great work for the kingdom, or whether or not Anglicans are doing great work or love the kingdom or love Jesus.
Or
That has enough.
Catholics.
That's not what we're talking about here. Catholics too. But what we're saying is part of the reason that we are able to create episodes every week, for a year and a half now, is because of the silliness that comes from trying to make minor things major things that become divisive in the body.
Yeah.
And that's my principal beef. So like, this is not about creating division. This is about highlighting what creates division and saying, hey, let's look at this for what it is, and that's so that's the conversation that I think that we're interested in happening. Why I think it's edifying for the body is for us to look at this and say like, wow, maybe I should read church history. Maybe I should ask what if I accept that premise, and we'll talk more about this in another segment coming up in a bit. But like if I accept that premise and I draw out what that means, what it breaks, what it fixes, is it beneficial? Does it cost more than it potentially gives to the body, to the work of the kingdom? Yeah.
Which I'm
I don't
here
know,
for
what do
that conversation. And if you're here
Yeah.
for that conversation, subscribe and follow along, because for me, I have always been fascinated by, I'm probably like the most denominationally Neapolitan person that people engage with on a regular basis. I was raised Presbyterian. My father's a 5-point Calvinist. I'm fairly certain, Dad. You can comment below if I'm wrong. And now I'm at a non-denominational church, and like
Baptist.
Paul's
Denominational
emphasis
proceedings,
on
Baptist.
unity. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I love getting along with my Catholic friends and brothers and sisters, and
Oh, for
and
sure.
the amount of times I want to cuss because I live in church land talking to thousands of churches, and they must know where we are denominationally, or we cannot break bread, because God forbid they help their people struggling in pornography because we landed on the wrong side of the denominational divide because we hung out with Elevation for one too many minutes. And it's like, oh my goodness. So I'm here for the conversation of let's all get along, but still have conversations about what divide us.
Well, that's such a good point.
I mean, to be clear,
Nick, go ahead.
No,
Stephen
do
Furtick
not
is a
go there.
heretic.
No.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Go ahead.
Look.
Thankfully, they don't give to us anymore, or we'd be cutting that out of this episode. Although, Stephen, if you're watching,
Hey, buddy, come on and defend yourself anytime.
No.
But like,
Open
seriously, though,
invitation.
I think that
Stephen.
brings up such a good point, Nick. The type of guardrails that we put around our, around the simple gospel, to say we can't break bread with you if you hung out with a church that disagrees with us theologically, or we can't break bread with you if you disagree about the effectiveness of baptism or the Last Supper. I mean, there's certain things that, like, within an ecumenical environment, and Josh knows this firsthand, being in the Armley chaplaincy, is everybody kind of has their own, like, you can't necessarily participate in our service unless you are a member or whatever. From a Catholic standpoint, you can't take the Eucharist unless you have been through confirmation and you're part of the church. Lutherans might look at it and say, well, Baptists, when they do the Eucharist, it's not really, they're not doing it the right way because they don't really present it. They're looking at it in more of a memorial way, a Zwinglian way. And so you could do it, and fine, we'll do it with you, but it's not real. It's just eating. So like there's different nuances. And so like what we kind of disagree on, it really takes apart the simple gospel of, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. Get baptized. Right? Like that's just like the simple.
And I'm
gospel.
even making a more stark contrast that I see regularly, which is your people are dying of thirst in the wilderness, and we have water to keep them alive. But because I had one too many conversations with somebody of the wrong denomination, or we had the wrong person on our podcast, you now won't you're going to let them die because of your
The mystery
pride, denominational. Anyway, it's fascinating. And we, as an organization, are not affiliated with any denomination for this reason. We are as ecumenical as possible. And that still gets us in trouble because we haven't picked a side.
Right.
Well, and this is the difference, right? I mean, that's why we called them ecumenical council. I mean, that is like who and how much can we, like, what can we partake in? What can we do together? What can't we do together? And that's why I think theological literacy and church history literacy is so important, because I think if people understood how these lines got drawn and what support exists for them in the Bible, people would be a lot less married to them than they are.
That makes sense.
When you look, I mean, that's what I hope people took away or will take away from the pedo baptism, the baby baptism episode, is that what we have here is something that is not in the Bible, that there's no mechanism for understanding it as doing anything other than what Jesus did and commanded us to do with children.
Right.
It's
not an ordinance
everything
for
else is
children.
extrapolated. Everything else is something that started to take place, that became a tradition, that became something else. And then we literally don't, like, to your point, people won't engage in ministry with people. I mean, and that's even more egregious in my mind than even like communion. Like, I get it. You don't want to hang out with me. I mean, not biblical. Again, explicit biblical commandment that you're going to break over an implied thing. That's the simple science to me, is just like, here we have something, and this is anything, pedo baptism, communion, whatever. It's like, here's something that Jesus said, do not forsake the gathering of the believers, right? Do not
unity.
That
was Paul's
unity.
biggest thing. He was more angry that they're and this is coming back, and we gotta do an episode on the Eucharist in 1 Corinthians 11 when Paul is talking about celebrating the Lord's Supper. His whole thing is like, look, you guys are eating and getting full and getting drunk while the other people in the community are starving. Be united, be as one. The whole purpose of this is for us to have koinonia together, fellowship, right? To gather together, to encourage one another, to edify one another, to build one another up. But yeah, it's like, anyway, that's a...
There was an article that just came out. I just saw, I forget who it was. It might have been Canon Press, one of their Instagram ads or something like that showed that something like that that Christians globally have more money than every major Fortune 500 company. Like, and substantially more. Like, imagine what could be accomplished if there was a unity of purpose.
Unite the clans.
And
right.
And it's not like the Catholics aren't trying. It's just that they put such huge restrictions on joining.
Right? Just, no, but they gave us a saint, man. Didn't you hear? We got the first millennial saint, and he's even got headphones, and he like codes and plays video games.
Gosh.
Like, come on.
Hold on. Did the Eastern Orthodox Church?
You don't know about this?
Codify him as a saint, or is it just the Catholics? Because I want to see that icon if the Eastern Orthodox.
Oh man. Well, they're getting closer together.
Like AirPods in a Byzantine art style.
Right. So wrap it up. This is the big takeaway, right? So Ben Shapiro is a Baptist. Or will be when he decides to come over. You got to take this in mind.
It's true.
It is. I'm just glad to know where he's going to land. Like, very few times do we get that forefront. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about Jews is like they've got all the lore. They just got to pick a side, And so now we know what side he's going to land on when eventually, God willing, he sees
the dispensation when all Israel comes.
Yeah, when it
together.
all ends. And then what does this tell us? It just highlights that, even he sees what we all should see, which is Jesus came to fulfill all of these covenants, right? They are all fulfilled in Christ. It is foolishness to levy, more layers, more requirements, more barriers to accomplishing what's already been accomplished. So, from my take, from my foxhole, I should say, that's a big takeaway for me. Till next time, like and subscribe. For the love of God, share the episode. Please help us.
See you next time.
Done.
Get off my lawn. You can't gaslight us. We know you want to talk about receipts. I got human history and Western civilization. What do you have? 20 years of dumpster fires, purple hair, people who don't know which bathroom to go into. Get off my lawn.